And we're back. So usually we talk about games that are out or games that are coming out, but also then sometimes games just don't get made. And one of the big pieces of news in the past week was Ubisoft deciding to not make an Assassin's Creed and the reasons why they chose not to do that.
Yeah, this comes from Stephen Totillo's great newsletter, Game File. Ubisoft canceled a post-Civil War Assassin's Creed last year, from reading from Stephen's report. In July of last year, word began to trickle through Ubisoft that an ambitious new installment in the company's top franchise, Assassin's Creed, had been canceled. The new game would have brought the history-spanning series to one of its most modern settings, the American Civil War, and more so, the Reconstruction period that followed in the 1860s and 1870s. In this Reconstruction-era Assassin's Creed, gamers would play as a black man who had been formerly enslaved in the South and moved west to start a new life. Recruited by the series' assassins, he would return to the South to fight for justice in a conflict that would, among other things, see him confront the emergence of the Ku Klux Klan. That's according to interviews with 5 current and former Ubisoft employees who spoke to GameFile on the condition of anonymity. The people were enthusiastic about the game, but also frustrated by its cancellation, which they perceived as Ubisoft bowing to controversy. 3 sources told GameFile that word filtered through the company last July that management in Paris had stopped development of the game for 2 reasons. Online backlash that spring to the reveal of Yasuke, a historically black samurai, as protagonist in the company's then upcoming Assassin's Creed Shadows, and concern that the political climate in the United States was becoming increasingly tense. Quote, too political in a country too unstable, to make it short. One source familiar with the game and its cancellation told GameFile. Yeah, this part... Boo, but also, I don't know that I trust modern Ubisoft to make that game.
maybe not, but I do feel like so much of this has to be wrapped up in the like trolls coming after them for Shadows.
I think that is right. Like, that dominated a lot of the conversation in I say dominated by, in that the way that right-wing trolls weaponize, especially racial politics, to make their voices much louder than they actually are, was something that happened absolutely with Shadows, to the point that regularly Assassin's Creed devs were having to comment on, like, what is Grums? What does, like, the milk-drinking weirdo think about, like, your video game? And
I feel like I need to explain to me every few months. There's a milk thing with Grums?
There's the allegation they drank breast milk, right?
Oh, that's right. Yes. Okay, breast milk.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry,
Okay,
I'm
yes,
key
yes. That's
differentiator.
a meme. Yes,
Not
that was
just,
a
Yeah.
milk is fine. Love
There was
milk.
a shit post about Grums.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I think it was determined that he wasn't there when the breast milk incident happened,
Yes,
but also
yes. Right.
Yes.
But also, yeah, I feel like this is. I also don't trust Ubisoft to pull anything like this off with enough care and just research and everything else. But it's a pussy move. It's a pussy move. They should still try to pull it off.
The funny thing is, I think Ubisoft actually. I think Assassin's Creed could have done it. Like, if this is a Far Cry game, no. Like, the way they write those games, no, I don't think they do it.
They sort of did it with Black Flag, right? Like, was that Freedom Cry was the like really interesting expansion that plays in a very similar, like, topical political environment as something like this would. But also, that game was a long time ago. But I liked Shadows.
What's the one that was those PSP was leading on PSP?
Right, I know what you're talking about. Bloodlines is the PSP.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, I feel like there's But either way, like, they can handle stuff okay in the Assassin's Creed series at times, better than they do in, like, the Far Cry series. I think to a degree we also have a measure of contempt for Ubisoft, because just as a corporation, one of their, like, highest value items has been, like, we gotta protect this culture of sexual harassment, right? And we're gonna go down with that shit. Absolutely, like just fight to the end on changing any of that. And so that washes over to how we sort of regard their games. I think, like, Assassin's Creed, I actually suspect they could have made a pretty good game about this.
But they're pussies.
Yeah, and on 2 fronts, right? They're afraid of, oh my God, racists don't like it when you put black people in the center of a video game. We better give the racists what they want. Like, that's just the, like, oh God, like, we don't want to touch that. But then also there's the element of Reconstruction, the verdict of the Civil War. Settled history in the United States? Not so much. And so there's this bit of, yeah, you'd have a story where it's like, the story of Reconstruction is explicitly about like the Supreme Court basically trying to undo the verdict of the Civil War. In a lot of ways, a mythology of Northern carpetbaggers exploiting, the post Civil War status quo in the South, and that being turned into a narrative to suspend the entire effort and turn the South back over to like the plantation class and the and basically the leaders of the old Confederacy. And so that's a game where you necessarily would have been killing dudes that army bases are named after. You would have probably been doing all sorts of stuff.
Can you imagine the assassin map, sort of like the target map of like all the different like areas of history you'd be going after? It's just hard. It's hard to fathom.
That would have been awesome.
Dude, it would like a game where you can kill Nathan Bedford Forrest. Like fucking yes, absolutely. That is 100% now. And obviously that game also, just imagine this too, like a pretty cool opening stage where your Templar assassin John Wilkes Booth, and like that could have been the opening of the game, and then it's like hard cut to
God.
Like imagine
Rob,
just
don't
imagine
share these ideas. You don't share these ideas. You gotta do something with them. His
consulting contract with Ubisoft is over. They canceled the game, so these ideas can't make it in.
Press X to leap onto the stage. Oh no, you failed the QuickTime event and broke your leg.
Time paradox.
Hit these buttons in sequence. Tick Temper Seranus. Fuck! But we're not going to get that game. That game sounds awesome.
I also, and this is not to be construed as a defense of the, I think, cowardly reasons that Ubisoft chose to not move forward with this project, but they do not strike me as if you were to make a project that explicitly forward-facing about like the setting, the politics, the kinds of characters that would be featured on the box, main characters in the game, the kind of people you'd be killing, would Ubisoft be the kind of company that would be able to reasonably protect its employees from a 2 to 3 year singular everyday onslaught? At this point, like probably at some point, the vice president of the United States shit posting about it on social media. Like I just don't. They don't have the bravery to move forward with that, and I don't think they would have the ability to defend their employees properly against the weight of how that once fringe, like gamer-centric movement has now been co-opted by the most powerful actors in the world. And again, the reasons they chose to cancel this, it aligns with that, but is a different reason why I'd be worried about the folks who have to publicly speak about this game, the folks that put it on their LinkedIn, because you would immediately, in the current political environment, be attacked by like someone like JD Vance almost immediately over about what this says about America. Like, oh, a foreign company is making a game criticize, you know what I mean? Like, you can start to see the line of attack immediately that would be profoundly disheartening if you were just, like, working on the project. And I think there's a reasonable expectation that would put many of these people in a position of worried for their safety, like, online and off. I don't think Ubisoft's a company shown they would be in a position to properly defend against that. And that was probably a calculation here, but in what we have from the GameFile report, not the one that they're leaning on.
Not to defend Ubisoft either, there is an extra measure, though, of things you'd have to be concerned about, which is that the people who'd be upset about this, as you say, Patrick, they're in office. Yeah, like, there are, like, actual, now, like, government, like, regulatory things they could do to fuck with you. I mean, like, to give you a sense of how bad things are, like this week, Politico posted chat logs from the Young Republicans. Have you seen the story?
Oh my God, yeah. Jesus.
Imagine the worst shit, and it's worse.
And crucially, like, these are lots of people from various Young Republicans chapters. This is a sort of snapshot of, like, the social networking, like, private lives of a lot of, like, the Republican leadership cohort for, like, young millennials, older Zoomers, etc., and probably a decent snapshot of, like, what college Republicans are going to be as well. And it's just outright extreme, virulent, violent racism, misogyny, bigotry, like ugly black pill irony type shit. It is slurs everywhere in the chat, just discussions of, ironic but not really discussions of, like, we love Hitler, we should send our opponents to gas chambers, shit like that. And again, these are not fringe figures. These are people who were working in congressional offices, have jobs in the Republican establishment. It is a decent bet that their views are probably reflective of someone like a J.D. Vance, who is good enough at, like, at least has, like, gotten this far by not saying some of the shit into a microphone, but it's so clear that he wants to, right? Like, in all his public statements, he's also sort of a shitbag edgelord like this. And so, to an extent, like, it is a cowardly decision to sort of, like, bury a game like this, but at the same time, it is reflective of a reality where you make a game about the about Reconstruction era America, where you are a freed slave who's out there fighting the Klan, and that would make this government mad. Like, that would
God,
be
it would
people
be
in government.
so awesome, though. Oh my God, like the idea of killing the KKK in a video game, that sounds fucking awesome.
It was sick in Mafia 3.
So I didn't play
it. That game is a lot of ups and downs, more ups and downs. I think it's totally worth playing. I really enjoyed my time with it, but, like, explicitly has one of the, I guess I'd say, cooler kill the KKK sequences as depicted in well,
and also
game.
A good depiction of, like, Mafia 3. I think the world of in a lot of ways, because it also gets at, like, shifts in the civil rights movement between attitudes in the 50s and into the 60s and 70s, right? Like, move toward radicalism, that a certain type of, like, protest or a certain way of approaching Jim Crow had limits that you now needed to go beyond. And in the case of Mafia 3, that is sort of given voice by characters setting you up with a kill list, and you're like, yeah, I guess we do need to kill these people, but it's good. It would have been awesome. And also, it's a cool setting. It's a cool time period. There's tons of stuff you could do with it. And maybe this game exists at some point. I'd like to think that we get through this sort of dark night of the national soul. Though I'm not super optimistic at times, but it sucks. But also, it is undeniable that we are in a reality where the people in office right now, the regulatory agencies, are run by people who would be like, I feel very targeted by a game where you kill the Klan. Like, and that is where things are at.
Did we get a response? It's been so long now, but to Wolfenstein, was there like because wasn't Trump in office? Wasn't it Trump's first term when Wolfenstein came out?
The second one,
Colossus?
Yeah.
Yeah. Was there commentary from people, in positions of power about
Machine
that game?
Games obviously didn't give a shit about the backlash.
Right.
But you're asking, like, what did Bethesda say? I don't remember.
Yeah, I'm just curious, like, if
they leaned into, like, as a marketing thing, it's cool to kill Nazis. There was no fear. Like, the space we're in now is so I mean, look. I think a perfect illustration of this with Bethesda specifically, right? Like they leaned into that game's marketing during the early parts of the first Trump administration. It was like, you know what's fucking cool? Killing Nazis. It was part of the marketing of the game. And then just a month and change ago, they took down like an Indiana Jones tweet about Indiana Jones thinking it's cool to kill fascists or fascists.
No, he's petting a cat, and it's like cats don't like fascists or something like
so
that.
More innocuous than that.
Yeah.
And it came around the same time of the Kirk assassination, and they pulled back from that. And that is a company that publishes a killing Nazis is cool video game.
Yeah.
And I think that is deeply illustrative of the cultural environment and the ways the different companies are looking at what they can and can't get away with saying in public due to a much more immediate and mass sort of backlash or weaponization that can happen to you as a result. They've long promised a third game, and if a third game happened, it would most likely come out like during this period while Trump is still in office, assuming that's just not the rest of our lives as we cycle through various sons and daughters. But I don't know how they would handle something like that. I think it would be markedly different. Hopefully, maybe not the game itself, but how it was pitched would probably be different.
Yeah.
It's also worth noting that with Assassin's Creed and Ubisoft as a company, right? Like they've now formed like the company's finances are weird. They were going through like Star Wars Outlaws had underperformed deeply. Like this is July, right? This game's canceled in July. Outlaws comes out in August. Outlaws essentially bombs. Its reputation has like ascended deeply in like the months since, but was not a huge sales.
Deeply. Patrick, you're a writer.
You're right. Well, occasionally anyway. Not so much these days. But the consensus on Outlaws, really great game, but like I don't think it sold particularly well. Shadows ends up selling well enough to save the company from like bankruptcy, but nonetheless they are forced to split off a spin-off company that is handling some of their mainline franchises like Rainbow Six, Assassin's Creed. I can imagine part of the reason this decision gets made is this is no longer a financially confident company in which you can reasonably take a swing on a culturally divisive Assassin's Creed game when you're not sure if you'll have a company in a couple of years. And again, that's not a defense as much as the environment that Ubisoft is in, and I suspect that is one of like many reasons why in the future I expect Assassin's Creed to pick its political and cultural backdrops in a way that is more innocuous, right? Like because that's going to line up with maximizing profitability for the franchise as they move into this. Was it Tencent that invested in the company? I forget exactly who was the one that is part of their financial backdrop now, but they have different expectations for themselves and how these properties are going to perform. I think that is going to be naturally more conservative as a result, and that's less. I guess weirdly, I wouldn't say that's politically like capital C conservative, but by the very nature of the cultural context we are in right now, by being more safe, you are playing into the natural, conservative rights moment of ascendancy as well, which sucks shit.
I hate these dweebs.
They're losers. Like the AI stuff, like I don't want to shove you into a locker behavior of these nerds is really like one of the more, the way it's weaponized is obviously deeply upsetting, but also it's just super annoying. Like it just sucks to see these types of people. I was like, why is the Vice President of the United States telling people to shut the fuck up on Twitter? Like stop it. Like what are we doing?
Yeah. Like, it's an entire group of people who should feel deeply lonely and isolated and also ashamed. And it's like, but they're not. And it's like, that just shouldn't, like,
no.
But you should feel bad. Like you should have like crippling like self-image problems at this point, but they just don't. It's like everyone else. I'm wandering around with self-consciousness, and these fuckers are just out here.
They have to be embarrassed. I feel like shame doesn't do it for him. You know, they have to be like embarrassed. You know,
it doesn't exist anymore. That's
I
like
know.
one of Trump's secret weapons was never apologize, never like. There's no shame or embarrassment associated with everything that he represents in terms of how he has reshaped politics, and everyone that has successfully followed in his wake has adopted that very thing. Like, there's so many things that occur on a daily basis that otherwise would have been a 2-month scandal 10 years ago and no longer even penetrate like mass culture. And it's because if you just express no embarrassment or shame, I mean, even like the leaked chat group that Rob's talking about, like, some people in power have said like, yeah, that's pretty bad, like, shouldn't do that. All the people who are caught in the chat are like, I don't know what you're talking about. This is just what we do now. And it's like, oh, these are the people who are coming down the pike. That's